over the past 30 years, I've learned that it's not the senior people that you meet at the beginning of your career who will help you make your career happen. It's the junior people who you meet at the beginning of your career who you will rise with as your career progresses. So everybody else wants to meet the president or the CEO and the top this, the top that, the champion. Those aren't often the people who are going to help you out in the long run because they're going to be retired and they've moved on. The people who are going to grow with you in your career and in your racing are the younger people, the people at the track, those who are providing support. And networking starts, in my opinion, and I've learned this now in hindsight. I didn't know it then because, yes, I was calling all the big name people back in the day, trying to get to know them. But I realized 30 years later that it's the young people that you grow your career with who can help make it happen. And so it's okay to start and get to know people who are smart and active and who really are the movers and the shakers in an industry. And one place to do that, I mentioned SEMA because Tony, we always bump into each other at SEMA. SEMA is a place where a lot of racers will hand out decks or proposals or something they think is a combination, and they look for sponsorship. And that is not the place to do so. Trade shows and events are not the place to hand out marketing material to the executives and the professionals there who are working the event in order to promote their brand. They're trying to sell to their retailers and their vendors and to create more demand for the product. They're not there for you to sell them. However, you can use events to get to know them, like a day or two before SEMA or a day or two after, as they're setting up their booth or they're breaking it down, or even at a race. You go before the race when trucks are still loading and moving in. That's a great way to meet people, and afterwards hanging out. I think I probably had more beer and more drinks and dinner with colleagues now who became friends over the years because I got to know them at an event, not at the actual event during the racing, but before the event, at a pre-party, or afterwards in a celebration in the pits. And so networking comes at the grassroots level. It's at the one-on-one face person level. You want to meet people one-on-one, face-to-face. Not over, I know we're doing this as a Zoom call and this is all electronic now. It's a little bit different. It's harder to get to know someone through a call like this, but we got a lot of people on one call, which is really nice. But still, it won't be until tonight when we're at an event, sitting at an event, having beer and watching the event happen. That's when the real networking takes place. So are all the panelists up? Because these are some great networkers. These are people who I see at events all the time and who we love hanging out. Let's start with David, who I just saw. David Morton was at PRI most recently, and he and I were hanging out. Where is David? He's up there.
I'm here.
Hey, there he is. David, what advice do you have for racers who are trying to meet brands and people like yourself? You invited me to a cocktail party at PRI, spent a lot of time there. That was really fun. What else are good ways to get to know people?
Well, you've kind of started headed down a path that I firmly believe in, and that's that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It takes multiple touch points. You really have to focus on the relationship first. And something that I always do is I really work hard at figuring out how I can get a win for somebody before I make an ask of somebody. And I think that's really important. And you gotta understand, you gotta put yourself in their shoes and understand maybe what some of the challenges that they have and how you can add value instead of just making requests of them. So that's kind of the first thing I would say. And then I would also say you gotta have a plan. You can't just do this as a shotgun approach. It's got to be more of a rifle approach, and do your homework up front. Be intentional about how you go about networking, and you'll be much more efficient with your time if you do that. And I've certainly seen that over and over again. And sometimes you're very intentional about it, and sometimes networking happens in ways that are unexpected. I've got a good friend who's owner of a technology company up in New Jersey, who ended up running into a driver on the streets of Vegas
and everybody had logos, shirts on. So and that ended up becoming he ended up sponsoring this driver who's now a NASCAR Cup driver full time, and it all started on Vegas. So my point there is be intentional about it, but also be open to uncovering relationships maybe in unexpected places. And whether you're intentional or it's sort of more by chance, you got to put yourself out there. You got to be willing to. You can't go into a room and hide. I mean, you got to really put your best foot forward, and you got to be open to conversations with people. And to your point, they may not ultimately be the person that's going to give you, that has the authority to bring you on and as a and to sponsor them, but you can help open doors to other people if you build that rapport up front.